Greed, global truth.
A state of emergency. That's the declaration from the governor of New York as the state is inundated by constant rain that's led to flash floods and warnings in some areas that residents need to move to higher ground. Les Trent waded through this water world.
Chaos in the New York City subway system as heavy rain pounds the nation's largest city. These guys are actually using umbrellas in the subway. And it's not just the subways. This is what parts of LaGuardia Airport look like.
Oh my goodness.
This was the chaotic scene on the streets. Cars warily driving through the floods.
I am issuing a state of an emergency for New York City based on the weather conditions.
The mayor urged residents to stay in place or shelter at home.
Well, I was about to walk across the street and a police officer just drove by and said over his loudspeaker that I had to be careful because there are manhole covers underneath here that are actually open. So I'm glad I didn't make that attempt.
As New York becomes a water world.
As many as 23 million people are under flood watch.
And this is only the beginning. New York is underwater, ladies and gentlemen. And people are unable to get to work. You know, that whole fault line, the border, I should say, where DC, Philly, New York is, that's a very dangerous place to have flooding. It's a low dense, low altitude area. And this is something that has been predicted quite a few times when it comes to New York in particular because of its location. And this is not the first flood and it won't be the last. It was actually a video that I caught about 5 months ago that was talking about how New York would be totally underwater within the next 5 years. And they had a chart, they brought the graph, they showed everything, and it was very compelling what they had to bring forward. And we've seen it time and time again depicted in movies. But it's real bad out there right now, man. They're saying as a result of all the flooding going on, there's a lot of rats, you know what I'm saying? Because New York City has a real, infestation with rats. And you got to understand these things carry diseases. So not only are people, unable to get to work and the city is pretty much shut down, but the people are in danger. And we can't even imagine how many pipelines have burst. How many people lost their vehicles even when the flooding is done. It's bad, bro. It's bad. But these things have been predicted for quite some time. There was actually a video I wanted to share with y'all, but man, these cities, some of these cities, man, it's just time to make reservations to get out of these places because it's like they're set up for failure. You understand? But this movie here, man, The Day After Tomorrow, very interesting because The Day After Tomorrow movie, and it was actually produced by the same people who created Independence Day, same producers. And I want y'all to do me a favor, put a 1 in the chat if y'all can hear me clearly, because I know sometimes they mess with my audio. So let me know if you all have been able to hear me loud and clearly this entire time. Just put a 1 in the chat, let a brother know. Okay, cool. Excellent. Excellent. All right. Because sometimes when I switch devices, it really acts up. But, this is from the movie The Day After Tomorrow. Quite interesting scene here. Ladies and gentlemen, they put this in the movies for a reason. There's a reason why they put these things in the movies. There's a reason why you see this taking place. It's predictive programming at its finest. And what I predict happening is that they're going to use this as a new initiative to pretty much promote climate change and any solutions, because it's problem reaction solution with these people, and they're going to really use this thing to usher out a smart city, or at least lay the foundation and groundwork to implement the smart city. Because anytime you hear climate emergency, climate change, anything of that nature, you have to know that the talks of a smart city is going to come very soon after. All right, very soon afterwards. So, don't think they just put this in the movies for no reason. Practically every catastrophic event that takes place in New York in movies, it has a flood in it somehow. Even in Godzilla, when Leviathan comes out of the water, New York gets flooded. Like, they show this scenario over and over and over and over of New York City getting flooded. I just don't think it's by chance. Now, of course, there's a dramatization. It's a dramatization for sure. But make no mistake about it, brothers and sisters, it's gotten pretty bad in certain places in New York. I mean, this is a movie, but this is real life. I mean, man, and I'm telling you, in these low dense areas, you got to be real careful. Somebody said close enough. Exactly. Somebody said it's prophecy. Absolutely. The scriptures say that the Most High will be sending judgment and sending great floods in these days, man. And a lot of people have been discussing New York City and how wicked it is, to the point where, the people are pretty much under some kind of spell and some type of delusion, man. And a lot of things that were rolled out started off in NY first. It was pretty much like the central hub for a lot of things that we see today. We see the plagues, man. The Most High God is not playing. And then, there's a lot going on. They talking about this government shutdown that's supposed to be taking place real soon. And you got Biden saying it's going to affect melanated people more than anybody. So you got all these things taking place. You just got to keep your eyes open, man. Somebody said, Max Million says, I'm in NY. Driving there was a lot of accidents on the highway. I bet. You be safe out there. You be safe out there. Yeah, and you know, the thing is, they keep sending those, exactly. They keep sending all those illegal aliens over there. New York is jam-packed to the point where even the liberals had to tell, you know, these citizens coming from other nations to ease up and go somewhere else. New York is packed, y'all. It has reached its capacity within the last few weeks, and now flooding. Man, I don't think that's happening for no reason. You know, all of a sudden, when the liberals are finally switching over and saying, hey, if y'all want somewhere to go, y'all go somewhere else. Then it gets hit with this flood, man. Very interesting, man. Now, mind you, ladies and gentlemen, they claim this movie is science fiction, as if this can't happen. And we can clearly see that New York is pretty much a place where it can really be destabilized based on an increase or uptick in rainfall. That's all it really takes. Not to mention that, you know, it's surrounded by surrounded by a body of water. I'm telling you. Now, it's a quick video I wanted to show y'all, right? It's a video I wanted to show y'all. And this is something that I actually happened to catch some time ago. Like, I don't know, maybe I seen it 3 months ago. And I was like, man, it's a compelling argument what this person is saying. New York really could go underwater, completely underwater within the next 5 years based on its infrastructure. And I want to share that with y'all because I immediately thought about this video right when the news broke. Right when the news broke. And this is the video right here. And it's called, Is New York Sinking? New York is going underwater by 2030. Now, mind you, this was done some time ago. And I was like, man, this is crazy. This video came out about 5 or 6 months ago. I seen it a few months ago. And I said, this is a very compelling argument. If I was a New Yorker, I would aim to get out of New York by 2030. Now, I know we don't know what's going to happen. We can only make these modules and models and hypothesize and theorize. I'm not telling anybody to maneuver in fear, but personally, if I was an NYC resident, I would try to get out by this time based on some of the things brought forth in this presentation. But let's go.
10 years have passed since Superstorm Sandy struck New York and New Jersey, resulting in the loss of many lives and causing damages worth billions of dollars. While powerful winds and heavy rainfall contributed to the destruction, flooding from high waves and storm surges caused the greatest damage. After the storm had passed, an area of over 50 square miles was submerged, with 17% of New York City being underwater.
So this is not the first time that New York has been faced with these great floods. And what you got to realize is it does something to the infrastructure when you have repeated flooding going on. So, you know, the infrastructure is pretty much weakened. And you can already see that it has the capacity to really flood. It can really turn bad there. It can get real bad there, right?
The regions that were particularly affected by flooding included coastal Brooklyn, Queens, southern Manhattan, and Staten Island, which are located in low-lying and vulnerable areas.
See, yep, that's what I'm saying. The low-lying, vulnerable areas: Washington, D.C., New York, Boston, Wilmington. You know, when Sandy hit right there, that caused some real problems. Yeah, that's one of those areas that can be very, very problematic. Smoke Devon says, I'm in NYC. My apartment is flooding. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. You know, let's pray for our brothers and sisters out NY, man, because this is crazy. Yup, Double D. DC floods very quickly too.
The storm endangered the city's critical infrastructure.
Now you hear what it just said. That is key. It said the storm damaged the city's critical infrastructure. You need to put an exclamation point on that, because Sandy really did some damage that has not been repaired. Now you have a situation where the infrastructure is already damaged and New York City is at its full capacity of people. And, you know, there's state of emergency with floods. You know, this is warfare. You know, I truly believe that it's possible. Now this one is interesting. It could be HARP weather modification, or it could be the Most High's judgment. But what it looks like to me, if I had to guess, I would say the Most High is letting it rain on them. If I had to guess.
Such as hospitals, power stations, and wastewater treatment plants.
Now, when those wastewater treatment plants infrastructure was damaged, I don't think people understand how bad that is, bro. Now imagine the waste and those pipelines expanding, along with the rat infestation, the rats coming to the surface dead, the disease, the fecal matter, the bodily fluids coming up out of the pipes, the feces, you know, all of the toxins and chemical waste. So this is not what they're experiencing in New York right now is not pretty right now. It is not pretty. Imagine what the homeless are going through out there right now. So this is something that everybody, the whole world should be talking about at the moment. Real talk.
Several subway lines and roads remain shut down for days and even weeks. Even after a decade, crews are still working to repair the damage done to the train tunnels that...
See, even 10 years later, they're still trying to fix things, y'all. The subways are still damaged. And I can tell you now, man, they're not going to be able, after this flood here, they're going to have more damages. It's to the point where the city of New York cannot sustain too much longer like this, with all these damages underground. Imagine what happens to the trains, right? You know, you transporting from one place to the next, and because there's so much damage underground, you know, these trains can just straight up, you know, the unthinkable can happen. You understand? It's just a safety hazard at this point. It's really a safety hazard. And all my brothers and sisters out in New York, the Most High is just with y'all. The Most High been securing y'all, walking y'all through the valley of the shadow of death, because New York is turning to pure hell. It's literally turning to Gotham City. Yep, the mold. The mold is another issue. It's literally turning a Gotham City up out there. Real talk.
Run beneath the Hudson River and are over a century old. The flooding caused by Sandy has gradually eroded the tunnel's concrete and intricate network of electrical cables that power them.
So the electrical powers that cable the lighting, the electricity within the subway station, that perhaps shift the actual rails itself. because you know some of those rails are ran electronically too, where it can shift directions for which way the train is going. Now imagine the lights go out, and this stuff is still damaged. Imagine the lights go out, it's flooding while you on a train. You know what I'm saying? The lights go out, you in this train, and it's just a water wasteland underground. I mean, could you imagine how terrifying that is, bro? I'm telling you, man, it's time for brothers and sisters to get out of New York. I'm just be honest, you couldn't pay me no amount of money in the world to move to New York. It's not happening. The last time I went to New York, soon as I got off the plane, a lady was going to war with 12. Soon as I got off the plane, bro. In Jamaica, Queens, soon as I got off the plane, a lady was going to war with 12, bro. Like she was throwing hands with the feds, with the cops. And I'm like, man, these people build different up here, bro. All I heard was yelling, arguing. The customer service was bad everywhere I went. You know what I'm saying? To go get something to eat at the airport, yo. The people was aggressive, bro. I'm telling you, bro, you could pay me to live there, and the infrastructure is pretty much compromised. I'm good. I barely like going to DC, let alone New York. It's a whole nother beast.
I actually switched from Chrome to Opera GX a while ago just because I was so tired of Chrome being the absurd resource hog that.
The situation could have been worse, as the three major airports, shipping infrastructure, oil tanks, and refineries in the area are all located near the city's 520 miles of coastline, making them vulnerable to floods and rising sea levels. The situation is already critical, as approximately 2.5 million New Yorkers live in the 100-year floodplain, which...
Now keep in mind, 2.5 million New Yorkers live in the 100-year floodplain. Ladies and gentlemen, they just had Sandy 10 years ago. New York cannot take too many more floods without being some real catastrophic results. They can't take too many more floods without being a real issue. You got to understand this, because those 100-year flood plans are designed a certain way. You know what I'm saying? So when you see these movies and things are just falling off a tidal wave, think about that movie we just looked at, The Day After Tomorrow. All it took was a tidal wave to do all that damage. Why? Because the infrastructure was already pretty much eroded. Once the infrastructure is eroded, you don't understand, man. If this happens too many more times, New York is not going to recover from it. Not going to recover from that. See, they show you things in the movies and it's a dramatization, but this is literally happening. Literally, New York is sinking. Literally. Yeah, man, we talking about lead paint, asbestos, sewage water, diseases. Yo. You know, they doing these things incrementally.
Which means they face a 1% chance of experiencing a significant catastrophe each year. Additionally, the city has lost much of its coastal marshlands and sand dunes, which once served as natural defenses against...
There are no more sand dunes to pretty much block it. It really make you look at that movie that was, produced by the same people who made Independence Day. The Day After Tomorrow. It really make you look at that movie as real life, bro. You know, just like we thought Independence Day was cap, but the government is now admitting that they got aliens. You know, it ain't just us, quote unquote, conspiracy theorists. Now the government telling you that, yeah, we got aliens. We've been talking to them for years. The name of the movie is called The Day After Tomorrow. It really shows you what can happen in New York. And I don't think they made that movie for no reason. The producers of the movie, they high sorcerers. They're into the lesser magic. You know, they tell you in these movies what they trying to do. Just like there was movies with smoke being over New York. Let's see. All for Peace says, I like living in New York, hated living in Atlanta, but now that I'm older, I would take Atlanta over New York any day. But West Virginia is closest to heaven. Established. Yeah. West Virginia is a great place to live. West Virginia is very beautiful. Aside from, it depends what part. Aside from the lack of growth, but other than that, it's still a very beautiful place. You know, I was born in West Virginia. You know, moved to Washington D.C. area when I turned 7 years old, and pretty much grew up in the DMV area. But I was born in West Virginia. But yeah, let's go.
Against rising sea levels and storms, and safeguarded residents in low-lying communities. According to the city's projections, by the 2050, more than one-third of Lower Manhattan will be at risk of a storm surge, and by the end of the century, the area will have seen a sea level rise of over 6 feet. Even under clear skies, 1 out of every 5 streets in the neighborhood could be flooded daily by rising tides.
And see, this is how New York is starting to look now. Just by rising tides. And then I'm going to go back to this movie and show you, because it's predictive programming. Hold on. Somebody said, I saw dead rats in the water. Yes, Chocolate Cocoa. A lot of people are saying that. A lot of people are really talking about the rats. And, you know, New York City ain't no joke with that. You know, as a result of the flooding, there's a lot of diseases in that water. Real talk. And some of these rats aren't dead either. Some of these rats have evolved. Some of these rats are swimming. Real talk. Crazy stuff, man.
This is a wake-up call for New York City. Local jurisdictions have begun to plan and build barriers against future storms, but many believe that the only real solution is a comprehensive plan that provides protection for the entire New York Harbor region. The cost of such a project is out of reach for cities and states, and it requires a level of funding that only the federal government can provide.
See, now this is key. This is what New Yorkers should be requesting for the next candidate. The next person elected, you need to get some type of flood safety precautions put in place. Instead of these people funding wars and funding nonsense, you need to make sure that your next presidential candidate is going to do what they can to protect their own land. New York is supposed to be, you know, the trade of all places, the central hub for all trade in the United States. They're supposed to be keeping that place safe. And all it would take is the federal government to sign off and put your tax dollars. New Yorkers, they need to put your tax dollars towards protecting New York City. Real talk.
I always say, like, you do not realize the power of just talking to somebody, just getting what is in.
After years of study and delay, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers released a 500-plus page report in September 2022, detailing a proposal to fortify the New York City metropolitan area against future storms.
If they would have done that, y'all would not be having flooding right now in New York. So this is a result of negligence from your federal government and your lawmakers. This is negligence. They're not doing what they got to do to basically protect New York. It's like this country really don't give a damn about itself, bro.
The document makes the case for a technically feasible, environmentally acceptable, and economically justified project that will manage coastal storm risk while supporting the steady area's economic and community resilience. This plan, known as Alternative 3B, is one of 5 options presented in the report and was selected through cost-benefit analysis and predictions of performance over a 50-year period, beginning in 2044. According to the report, the plan should cost $52.6 billion, making it one of the largest infrastructure projects in the city's history. The federal government would provide 65% of the funding. The other 35% will be the responsibility of the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation.
But you know, they're not doing this though. And they talking about by 2044. That's crazy. That ain't gonna happen. New York been washed away by then. Darla Vincent, thanks for the support. Says you have made a mark in my life. If I'm not watching you on YouTube, I'm listening to your music. Thank you for being you and never changing for anyone. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for the support as well.
The $52 billion proposal would be the largest project yet to combat storm surge and sea level rise in the region.
And see, you know, this is what they could do, but they refuse to do what they need to do.
Long-term comprehensive plan is put in place. New York and New Jersey will remain vulnerable to storms and
unless they put this comprehension plan in place. Hey, New York and Jersey going to be very vulnerable.
Sea level rise.
All it takes is the sea levels to rise. And which brings us to Exhibit B. Because y'all know this is all about population control. You know it's all about despair and destruction, right? What these people got going on. Which brings us to Exhibit B. The day after tomorrow. Now, why the president ain't on a call right now? Why the president ain't in the media right now talking about getting this comprehensive plan in motion? Why not get this in motion right now? Because, you know, something like this could happen. This could very well take place. And you're seeing it. You're seeing inklets of it right now. I'm telling you, it's like they put these things right in our faces. See, we think it's just a damn movie. We think it's just a movie, even though it's happening in real time.
A state of emergency. That's the declaration from the governor of New York as the state is inundated by constant rain that's led to flash floods and warnings in some areas that residents need to move to higher ground. Les Trent waded through this water world.
Chaos in the New York City subway system as heavy rain pounds the nation's largest city. These guys are actually using umbrellas in the subway. And it's not just the subways. This is what parts of LaGuardia Airport look like.
Oh my goodness.
This was the chaotic scene on the streets. Cars warily driving through the floods.
I am issuing a state of an emergency for New York City based on the weather conditions.
The mayor urged residents to stay in place or shelter at home.
Well, I was about to walk across the street and a police officer just drove by and said over his loudspeaker that I had to be careful because there are manhole covers underneath here that are actually open. So I'm glad I didn't make that attempt.
As New York becomes a water world.
As many as 23 million people are under flood watch.
I mean, this stuff is very real. You know, this is why we in those times where we got to stay prayed up, man. Stay in the faith, stay in the truth, ladies and gentlemen. If you in New York, you know, try to make your way out of that place. Try to find somewhere a little bit more safe to live. Now I know that there's harsh weather in a lot of places. I mean, people, you know, Miami gets bad weather here and there. You know, Florida. I mean, all states have its ups and downs. The Carolinas even get hit with certain weather at times. But when you know that your city is not doing what's necessary to put precautions in place, and you seeing this stuff real time, knowing that, hey, the infrastructure of New York is not a place that you want to have any flooding. And all it will really take is one high tide to take that place out. You know, people be thinking these movies is just entertainment, but y'all don't even be seeing a subliminal messaging in it. I would recommend you definitely leave New York if you can. Get out of there. That's a place that the Most High God is going to judge. Some of you chosen ones who live in New York City, the moment you're out of that place, all hell is going to break loose there. That's just how it's going to go down. It's some brothers and sisters out there in New York, soon as y'all exit, the Most High is going to take his hands right away from New York, and he's going to let that place go all the way down. I'm telling you. So, you know, this is just my advice. You know, get out of New York. I think it was a lady named Scarlett, the rapper, talking about get the f out of New York. I think she's right. I think you need to get out of New York. Don't come there. Don't stay there. You know, and shout out to all the people who survived New York City, man, because it's a wild place to live, bro. It's a wild place to grow up. It's just a wild place altogether. You know what I'm saying? December 92. Thanks for the 20 says whom at the same time as the indictments. Interesting. I don't know what indictments you speak of. December 92. What indictments? But anyway, all praises to the Most High. I just wanted to come through and cover this because, you know, this is global news, and this is another New Breed news brief. I want y'all to turn the post notifications on so you can get videos as they're being uploaded. Y'all know when I do multiple broadcasts and multiple streams, they start playing with the numbers because, you know, they don't want a brother to build on the channel. But do me a solid and pound the like button, hit the share button. I want to thank each and every one of y'all for coming through, showing y'all support. Y'all have a blessed evening. With that being said, shalom and peace.